Alright, so you have your model imported into 3D Code's Paint workspace. You've already started to do a little bit of texture painting, and now you're ready to apply a logo or decal or some other type of image onto your textures. First of all, how would I bring that image into 3D Code? And then, how would I apply it? What tools should I use for this specific task? Well, there are actually three, and that's what we're going to look at in this video. So I'm going to start off with using brush alphas so that you can simply just brush a specific image onto your model. It may not be the best method because you need to be careful about the image being able to fit inside the round circumference of your brush. If you have a square image, the corners might get clipped a little bit. I'm going to go to the bottom of my palette here, and I'm just going to click on New and choose Open Texture File. If I try to import a JPEG or a TJ file, 3D Coat is going to convert it to grayscale. In this case, that's not what I want. I want a color brush alpha. So I can choose a color image here. And let's try this TIFF. Let's go ahead and state up front that you'll notice when I apply a logo or decal that it's going to be rather pixelated or low resolution because this entire model shares one 2K UV map, and that's it. And then on the face plate, it takes up only a very small portion of that. So just wanted to make sure and clarify that straight away. Now let's go ahead and get back to the brush alpha palette. With this logo already selected, I want to bring the E panel to me by hitting the E key, and maybe for this particular task just a paint with dabs brush will work. That way I can just single click it. If I need to scale the brush, I can always use my bracket keys to do that, and then just above that the 9 and the 0 key will rotate it on the fly. And this works especially well if you decide to use the movable stamp draw mode. So I can click and drag and see a preview of what it's going to look like. Now, one thing you may observe at this point is I've got some kind of a funky red tint being applied to this. Why is that happening? Well, that's because 3D Coat is using this foreground color to tint this brush. If you don't want the color tint applied to it, then there are two ways to deal with it. One is just simply right click on it and you'll see an X here indicating that it's temporarily disabled, so it will not apply any color tinting. So I'll undo. And now when I click on the model, you'll see only the color from the image itself. The other way you could deal with it, I'm going to right click once more to enable it, and that is to choose a very bright color, like a very bright gray or white, because it has no color tint at all. It has no color value whatsoever. So now when I click, it's not going to apply any color to it. I'll undo it. Now the second method for applying an image is using the Spline Image tool. As soon as I click on that in the Tool Options panel, you'll see options for applying images to all three channels. You can add depth, textures, color, or glossiness, which previously was named specularity, but in this case, let's choose a color texture. And all I have to do is click my first point and my second point. And then I can go back, click on one of these, and it's going to use the other point as a pivot or anchor point. Okay. If you want to add a little bit of curvature, you can click to create an intermediate point and move it. Alright. And so all I have to do is hit enter, and then I'll hit escape to drop that spline, and shazam. Okay. Undo until that's done. The third method for applying an image onto your model is using materials. In this case, you have the introduction of PBR Materials, and you have these preview objects that have replaced the flat thumbnails that you may have seen previously. So what I'm going to do is I'll just go to default here, And these buttons simply are just quick links to folders of presets. Alright, so I'm going to click New to create a brand new material, and I'll name it so, and maybe logo. Hit OK. And then I can choose the projection type, whether I want to use a standard camera projection, cube mapping, cylindrical, spherical, or UV mapping. Since we have our UVs already set, we could use that as well. Alright, so the next thing I need to do is create a layer, and all this is doing is allowing me to add individual maps to the standard 3 channels that we had previously, and that is color, depth, and glossiness or specularity. But you have some other options here as well. In this case, I'm just going to work with color, and that's really all I need at this point, so I hit OK. The new preview objects are pretty nice for PBR materials where you have multi-layers and whatnot, but when you have just a single image, this is probably not the best way to present it in this palette. So Andrew is going to soon add some flat image thumbnails for this express purpose, so keep an eye out for that. And the reason why I don't see anything is when I choose the UV mapping, the cube mapping, or any of these others aside from camera mapping, I don't see anything until I make an adjustment. So this may not be what I want, so I'm going to choose from camera. And this time I'm going to work with just a paintbrush. I can move that little preview out of the way. If this is off to the side, if you want to reset the overall size and aspect ratio, just click Reset. You can use these transform widgets here, or you can right click right in the center on the little yellow dot to enable the 2D gizmo here. So this allows you to scale globally. You can click in the center on the dot and just drag and move it in 2D space. Okay, you can scale along an axis, you can move along a specific axis, again, or in just 2D space in kind of a freeform fashion. You can exit out of this gizmo with a little X here, or just by right clicking on that little dot again. Alright, so I'm going to scale it down. You can also rotate here. And if you need to make some numeric adjustments, just left mouse click and hold on the widget. So I'll do that with a rotation. I'll just click and hold and hit the space bar. And now I can enter the value numerically. Let's try 45. And there you go. So if I do the same thing again, just click and hold while I hit the space bar. This time I can choose 0 and it will reset it. So again, just left mouse click right in the center on the little dot, move it into place, scale it down. And if I want, prior to this, I can freeze some of these other objects. I can fill with freeze and just click on these individual objects, and it will disable it from being affected as I paint or project this. Okay. Once I'm happy with the placement, I can just right mouse click to hide the gizmo. I can just go ahead and start painting if I want. I'm going to change my brush alpha and check my opacity. Another alternative is I could use any one of these selection types, maybe freeform lasso. Let's choose polygonal lasso. Okay. And then close that. And it's done. You can also use that in the 2D texture editor as well if I need. So there you have it. Those are the 3 ways to project an image onto your textures in 3D Coats Paint Workspace. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.